Tunisian lace crisscross stitch. This lace pattern works with stitches being crossed as you're working one of the forward pass rows, and then again on the return row stitches have to be made up where stitches were decreased in the previous forward row. So I'll now demonstrate how to work crisscross. So I bring over my little sample where I've got a tiny bit already worked. So we're going to start with the forward row, and we're using Tunisian double stitch, which in British terms is Tunisian trebles, but I'm using the American terms because most of the pattern books use American terms. So we're going to start the edge with a chain one. Because we're doing double stitch, which is a taller stitch, we need to have the edge stitch slightly taller. And I'm now going to work a double crochet, so I'm going to put yarn around hook, but this first stitch is going to be worked, it's not going to be worked in the first vertical bar. I'm going to skip those two vertical bars and move to this one, which is the third vertical bar in from the edge stitch. Go under the stitch as if I was doing a Tunisian simple stitch. So the double Tunisian double is being worked using the simple stitch method. Round the hook and pull through two. I've made one Tunisian double stitch. I now need to make my next one, and the next one I'm going to go back to the first vertical bar that I skipped here in this first group of three. So I'm going to miss the middle one and come back under the vertical bar, pull a loop through and pull through two. So the second Tunisian double stitch is made in front of the first. So again, yarn round hook, and I'm looking at my next three vertical bars. So I'm going to miss two and go into the third one, yarn round hook and pull through two, and then I'm going to go yarn round hook, and I need to go back to the first vertical bar that I skipped over here and pull through two. And again, this next group of three, yarn around the hook, and I'm going to skip those two vertical bars and go into the next one, yarn around hook and pull through, and then I come back to yarn around hook and go back to the first of that group that I skipped and go through it. So we're repeating that all the way along the row until we get to the edge stitch, and then I'm just doing a normal Tunisian double stitch into the edge stitch. So that'd be yarn round hook, pull up a loop having gone through both chains, yarn round hook and pull through two. So that's the forward pass of the crisscross row. I now need to work the return pass, and because we've been skipping stitches, we've effectively decreased some stitches, I now have to put those stitches back in as part of my return pass. So the return pass for this row is chain one, or yarn round hook and pull through one, and now I'm going to do yarn round hook, pull through two, chain one, yarn round hook and pull through two, yarn round hook and pull through two, chain one. So the chain one comes over the middle of the two stitches, the two crisscross stitches. Yarn round hook, pull through 2, yarn round hook, pull through 2, chain 1, yarn round hook and pull through 2. We've got to the end of the row, so we're just going to do a yarn round hook and pull through 2. So that's the forward and return pass of the first row of the pattern. So the second row of the pattern is Tunisian simple stitch and make one. So we're going to start by working a simple stitch into that first vertical bar, and then we need to do a make one, which is going into the space below the chain 1 and pull a loop through. Simple stitch into the next stitch, simple stitch into the next stitch, make one, simple stitch, Tunisian simple stitch into the next stitch, make one, simple stitch, which brings us to the end of the row, and I now need to work a normal edge stitch. So I'm looking for the chain at the edge, go through both loops and then pull up a loop. So that's the forward pass of the row after the crisscross row, and then we work a standard return pass. So the standard return pass is yarn round hook and pull through, yarn round hook and pull through 2 to the end of the row. So it is quite a simple little pattern. The crisscross row and return pass are the slightly more complicated part of this pattern, and then we're back to having a normal line of undefined stitches ready to work the next crisscross row. So that's the lace crisscross pattern.